Just a quick insert. The things that can and do ruin cases. This is in regard to the Mcfalls case, but this is in general. My opinion. Bad journalism. I'll get there in a minute and explain why. Private investigators. Most of them. Some of them are good. Most of them try and take over the whole investigation, and it ends up going nowhere. I've seen it a multitude of times with many cases in the last couple of years. Police that don't respond to anybody's questions, including the family. And I know that that happens a lot because I talk to families that this happens to. All different families from all different cases. People that persuade others into believing their theories. That leads me then back to bad journalism and private investigators. So if the police aren't involved and we have private investigators involved, they can speculate. Then usually what they do is report it to a journalist or to someone, or write it on Facebook or put it out there in the public. That turns into people persuading others into believing these theories. These things come from hearsay, speculation. We have no facts when we hear things from reporters or private investigators unless it is backed up by evidence and backed up with sources and all of the things that you do when you're a good journalist. So I just wanted to pop that in there. If you're one of those people that are easily persuaded into believing what you're told about a murder case, please stop and reassess it, because it's not always as you are being told. And who knows who's telling you what. Okay, let's move on and you'll see what I'm talking about. Hello everybody, it's Kirsty. Today I've got a really important case that I want to talk about. This is going to go on for a while and it's fairly convoluted, but I'm going to do it. It's really important that I get this out there. Now, this is the case of Susan and Jerry Sr. Mcfalls, and they vanished in January 2018, were found in, and then basically, to cut a long story short, Jerry Sr.'s body was not identified, go down here, for 267 days. And basically, there's still really no indication of what's going on. So this happened in January 2018, here. And where are we? July 2020. And really we're no further. So I hadn't done a full video on it for that fact, but I've been forced to actually do a video on it, and that's because of something that came into my YouTube comment box yesterday. Now, bear with me, I'm going to show you each thing so you can see that everything I'm showing you is factual. No hearsay, no rubbish, nothing like that. You'll see the full truth of everything I'm going to say. You're going to have to watch all the way through to see where I'm going. This is not a good situation. It's not a good case. I mean, it's not a good case, obviously, but it's not going in the right direction. It's turning into a circus and a shit show, and I'm going to show you why right now. Okay, so here's behind the scenes of my channel, and here was a comment that I got yesterday. Mike Ganusio for sheriff. Okay, he sent me a YouTube link, so of course I clicked on it because I'm very curious why a for sheriff person would be sending me a link. So I watched it, and then I had to ask this question here. I'm curious, did you send this to me, Mike? I went over to this YouTube channel here and wrote on there, who is this? Is it Mike Ganusio? Because the YouTube clip is pretty damning, and I didn't really understand why I was being sent this clip. Now I'm going to tell you the basics of what is in this clip. I'm not going to show you it. You can find it yourself if you like. You can see this here. That's a YouTube channel. By all means, have a look. The comments are now turned off, and you'll see why shortly. But let's have a look at some further stuff, shall we? Many thanks to the Justice Files for the excerpts, and to Terry something of the Mesquite Citizens Journal, and to private investigator David Bouncell. Disclaimer: this is a very serious and frustrating case. However, as your sheriff, I will never give something. And then you'll see here I've written publicity stunt. Shaking my head. I'm annoyed, as it looks like a publicity stunt after I watch this, and I'll show you that in a minute as well. You'll understand why I wrote that. This triggered off a barrage of hatred from this YouTube channel. Now, I'm not saying I know who runs this YouTube channel. I've got a fair idea, but oh my goodness, it's certainly not the actions of a person that wants to run for sheriff. Now, there's actually another screenshot that shows this as saying something different, and I'm going to find that. Here is the same video the next day that's been changed to say, this is a very serious and frustrating case. I am not involved in it whatsoever. Okay, so it changed from yesterday to today. Okay, I am not involved in it whatsoever, he says, in this question and answer for what happened to Jerry and Susan Mcfalls. If you're not with me yet, don't worry, it's going to make sense soon. So that my answer to this video was that it was a publicity stunt, and I'm going to show you why I felt that was the case. That was my very first message that triggered all this off. So I found this article. Okay, Mojave County Sheriff debate ends in a no-show. So I was like, okay, well, what's this about? An unexpected last-minute announcement neutralized a highly anticipated Mojave County Sheriff debate on Saturday, June 20, at the Beaver Dam Lodge in Littlefield, Arizona. The highly charged event was dampened when incumbent Sheriff Douglas Schuster was unable to be present for the debate. Schuster called in with apologies at the last minute to say he suffered with food poisoning and couldn't attend the debate. But challenger Mike Ganusio was present and ready for the debate on Saturday afternoon. Residents of the area who came for the debate expressed frustration at their current sheriff's absence. Some claimed that he was too afraid to face the community due to the multitude of questions concerning the unsolved Mcfalls murder case. Jerry Sr. and Susan Mcfalls went missing out of the small community on January 11, 2018, and they were discovered October 15, 2019. Residents of the small community have perceived a general mishandling of the investigation by the Mojave County Sheriff's Office. I agree. Private investigator David Bouncell was hired to work on the Mcfall murder case. He said he was disappointed that his questions and those of many others in the community were not being addressed. Okay, you can read on to this, and as you'll see in the video if you watch it, Mike Ganusio is having a debate about becoming sheriff, okay? He's trying to drag the old sheriff down. Obviously, it's all in the public to see, and that's this debate. But my curiosity is, why is the Mcfalls case popped right in the middle of some candidate type article, debate thing? So I started to think, okay, this is odd. You know, why did this person send me a link? What was it supposed to achieve? To me, it just looked like a political stepping stone for this person here. The murder I'm talking about. He doesn't know anything about the case, so he can't talk about it. So the interview to me was not good, and I thought, okay, it's a publicity stunt, so I wrote that. This is what I got back. This is from Mike Ganusio for Sheriff to me. Cursed the criminal astrologer. You are exploiting the Mcfalls case and offered no astrology whatsoever. Nor did you solve this case. Which isn't your job anyway. I know that, and if you all know, I haven't even done a case on the Mcfalls yet. So, okay. So when people visit your channel, what are you offering? I mean, sincerely, what are people paying you money for? You do accept money, don't you? Well, no, I don't. For my YouTube channel, yeah. So, I mean, that's what YouTubers do. Same as this guy, if he gets enough bloody subscribers, he would do as well. So, an answer. So what he's done is gone, or this person has gone on my page, accused me of exploiting the Mcfalls because I didn't offer them any astrology, which, this is a double homicide, people. And I didn't solve the case. It's not my goddamn job to solve the case. And then attacked me because apparently I charge money for it. So it's the most ridiculous crap I've ever heard. So I made a few comments there back and forth, and I asked, is this Mike Ganusio? They wouldn't answer. So I stated some concerns over the fact that it was a political stunt. You have stated your concerns, he said, but your comments are becoming harassing, with all of the attacks on a valid political debate. It was advertised for over a month and the public was free to attend, so maybe you should come to the next one because you're free to ask the sheriff why. Why would I come? How can I get there? Get real. Whoever's running this, get real. I live in Australia. Yeah, I'll pop over to Mojave and ask the sheriff what's going on. I'm welcomed. So this person can't even write. I'm sorry, but that's a fact. They can't. I don't understand it. My comments becoming very disturbing. I'm telling you right now, hand on heart, I did not make a single disturbing comment. This is probably the most disturbing comment that I made. I said, prove that this is Mike Ganusio and I'll stop talking. And he said that I have to, or this person said, I have to prove that the journalist is not a very good journalist. I don't have to prove that. You honestly think you can come onto people's channels and make demands? When they come onto my channel giving me links suspiciously? Absolutely. I have got the right to make some demands. I want to know why I was sent this. I want to know why a double murder and the apparent sheriff that's running for Mojave County Sheriff is sending me, some little astrologer in Australia, abuse over YouTube. This is something else he said. I've taken screenshots of all of the comments that you deleted. I deleted a few because I wrote them wrong. I rewrote them again. You're not a very nice individual. Terry is a very nice and respectable journalist who is very concerned about our community, and what you have said about her is very uncalled for. I'm glad you deleted your comments because they made you look very bad. Now, I don't understand why this person here is so concerned with Terry, the respectable journalist. So I'm starting to ask more questions now. Who's Terry? So here we go. We've got some stuff that I said. Okay, he asked, or this person asked me, I advertise that I solve cases, and apparently I don't, and then they don't like profanity, but I think they were going to cuss or swear at me, whatever, and then asked me why I edited my comment. So I made a normal comment. I made some grammatical errors. That's why I deleted and edited them, and I won't delete these. I said the word bitch in the context of women being bitchy, not cursing at her. I made a comment up above that was saying that the person that is writing this sounds like a bitchy female, not like a person running for sheriff. It's ridiculous. I try to find missing people mainly, not solve murders. I mean, obviously I can't solve murders because I'm nowhere near there in America. I make maps. I made maps in this case, but I don't always put them on YouTube because I'm not an idiot. The bulk of my work isn't on YouTube, actually. What I'm reacting to is being sent this link. Why did you feel the need to send it to me if you don't want to reply? This person did not want a reply. So then started saying, the more important question is, who killed Jerry and Susan Mcfalls? So I said, I know that's the most important question. Who did it? You're the guy trying to be sheriff. Has anyone been eliminated? That's just a normal thing to say, isn't it? And this is all on YouTube, by the way, in public. So I think that's a very normal thing to say. He's the guy trying to be sheriff. Why is he asking me who killed Jerry and Susan Mcfalls? That's just ridiculous. So then I said, well, I'm going to be making a video about it, and, we'll see what happens with that. This person got scared at this point. You're free to do whatever videos you choose, but I hope that you'll not be accusing, like you have on the comments, that you deleted, which is nothing. I'm telling you, they're all back up here, because that would be called libel. It's a little bit of a threat there, and I don't like it. Be truthful. If anyone said anything in this clip about Jerry Jr. or his wife other than the Justice Files, it would be up to you to provide proof. Thanks for visiting. And I'm like, what is this? Like, seriously, what's this person talking about? Who needs to provide proof, or what's going on? So if you go through that video, you'll see it goes from him talking to being interviewed to silly musical clips, and then to clips of the Justice Files, and then back to him, and then back to whatever. You'll see what I mean when you see it. I'll put a link down below. I mean, he wants it to be, it's political. It's a political debate, for goodness sake. It's not a murder case. For God's sake. So here's the end of this. This is all just crap. It doesn't like astrology. I shouldn't be called a criminal astrologer. I shouldn't be commenting. I shouldn't be doing this and that. The full broadcast is within the description area, but I draw my own conclusions, as everybody should. Just like me. I do too, and I've got the right to. I'd rather not be dictated to. Is this how you run your business, by dictating? No. I don't have a business. I don't know what this person is seriously talking about. Yes, there are clips that have been incorporated for those who have not kept up with the story, and it is up to each individual to seek out the information on this case for themselves. So he's telling us right there, or this person is telling us, they put in clips in this video accusing two people of murder with absolutely no substance, no evidence, no knowledge, no anything of the case. People believe what they're told by somebody who's running for sheriff, okay? You believe them. And now I'm being told here that these clips have been incorporated for those who have not kept up with the story, and it is up to each individual to seek out the information on this case for themselves. I think that just really says it all. But now I'm going to show you all of the articles on Google. Everybody can see them. They're all there. And you can start to see the picture that I see. So it says here, so far the only official response from the sheriff's office is nobody has been ruled out as a suspect. It's an ongoing investigation. We're not going to release the details at this time. So I looked up some articles. So here we have the Mesquite Local News, which is the area where it happened. Community wants answers in murder case. 5th of February 2020. Okay, talks about how they were found. Las Vegas bounty hunter David Bouncel and this writer. These seem to be the only two people that are heading this thing. I don't even know what this thing is yet, but they seem to be heading it. Now, so David Bouncel's mentioned many times. Now, I know that David Bouncel is not on the case anymore. I also know that he turned on the son, Jerry Jr., and the daughter-in-law, Meredy Mcfalls. So here we have, in this article, let's read this. According to close family members who attended the memorial, Susan and Jerry Mcfalls Sr. were currently in the process of cutting Jerry out of their will. Well, according to which family members are they? Because I think that we should probably know that. Meredy owned a bowling alley in Salt Lake City, Utah area. Jerry Jr. owned an auto repair shop with Jerry Sr. After falling into financial troubles, blah, 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 blah. This is not the police looking into this. This is David Bouncel, bounty hunter, and a journalist. This is the sort of shit that I've seen before, where people start getting railroaded and then they'll get chucked into prison for what? For hearsay, speculation, because David Bouncel said so? Okay, so they're not releasing the details, but nobody is ruled out. Now, there's actually been a neighbour that was a suspect. There's a couple of people sort of floating around. But that's by the by. There needs to be an investigation. And I don't see any investigation except for this crap that keeps coming up here. Bouncel and Traveller Dave, another bounty hunter or whatever, said Meredy and Jerry Jr. have had 2 years to play the victims, but they're not going to be the victims. The real victims are Susan and Jerry Mcfalls, and the community wants justice for them. We're not going to stop until we get it. What? So you've got no evidence except for some hearsay from an apparent family member who wasn't at any of the searches, who didn't have anything to do with anything, and who they've just gone off and believed. And as I pointed out before, teenage. So who asked this teenage grandson, Caden, to come forward with this information? I'm curious. Who asked? Was it the journalist? Was it David Bouncel? I'm curious. That's a question I would like to know. How did Caden Mcfalls become a part of this? Did he bring himself forward and just suddenly tell two bounty hunters, the Justice Files, and another source, this just for fun? He just thought, oh, I'm just going to do that. I'll just suddenly turn on my family. Now, to me, if you're going to actually do an article like this, I would think that instead of just saying that you're going to take out a couple like Meredy and Jerry without any proof or tangible evidence, you would actually need to give a polygraph or question the people that you are doing interviews with. Who's this kid? Who's his family? Apart from Meredy and Jerry and Susan and Jerry. Who's the rest of the people? Where's the rest of the family? And the more I read it, why is it that Meredy Mcfalls, which is the daughter-in-law of the couple, is being accused more than anybody? She's the only one, as far as I can see from everything I've looked at. Meredy and Jerry Mcfalls are the only ones, as far as I can see, this is only my opinion, that are doing any work, that are looking to try and find who killed their parents. And now they have become the focus of the investigation with no evidence. You see what I mean, how this happens? I'm sure if you're watching, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, I was involved in the West Memphis case for 10 years nearly. I have seen some horrific stuff with the police in America. It's why I do what I do. It's why I don't do work in Australia. We don't have the same issues here. That place is a nightmare. I mean, I love it, don't get me wrong, and I love so many people in it. It's why I do this, because I want to change it. This is not right. I've seen this happen before. Railroading. A journalist and a PI, or a couple of journalists and a PI. They shouldn't be left to do this. So every article I read here is from the same person, okay, talking about David Bouncel's accusations and their nephew's accusations. The Justice Files, I watched that because, apparently they pulled bits of that out for their thing on YouTube. Then the Justice Files does go into this thing where the relatives of murdered couple are becoming suspicious of their own family members. You know why? Because David Bouncel caused all that. And then I looked up David Bouncel. I don't even think I need to say very much. This is all in the public. It's not hard to see. It's not a secret. So the person that is accusing Meredy, and this is crazy, and find it. So for him to say they've had 2 years to play victims, but they're not going to be the victims. The community wants justice. We're not going to stop until we get it. Okay. So this person here that was charged additional charges, theft of $200,000 from the Virgin River Casino. Well, I don't know if I'd be believing this source. This person is not a believable source to me. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. This is fact. It's on Google. Anybody can type in his name and see this. So yeah, the person that has been consistently saying, I'll get back to the actual one, that they did it, Jerry Jr. and Meredy, has absolutely no credibility. Not an ounce of credibility in my eyes. So is this what the new sheriff is going to do? Is the new sheriff going to be listening to only snippets of the Justice Files? Only reading articles from Terry Nerens? Because, I mean, that's who the YouTube clip was having a Q&A with that got sent to me. Is this going to be what happens? That he gets in as sheriff, Mike Gananousi gets in as sheriff, and then he's going to, what? Will he investigate the case properly? I don't know. Doesn't seem like, if that's him answering these questions, I can't understand that a sheriff would talk like that. So, if that is him, that's concerning. If his only sources that he goes to are biased reporters, and that's actually, I'll back that up, it's not me just saying that. I'm going to find it. This person says, where are the rest of the comments? Do you pick and choose what comments you post? You're supposed to be an unbiased reporter who sees both sides of the stories, yet it seems like one side and reaching for straws on the other side. How much is the guilty party paying you to keep slandering the others? I guess what's not good for the goose is good for the gander, considering you're only half donkey reporting this and have all along. This person again says, there's a lot of accusations slung back and forth by one side of the family towards the other, But I see and read a lot of fallacies made by Jerry and Susan's daughter-in-law. All they need to do is take a polygraph, period. That's it. But instead they lawyered up. Well, actually, I read into that. You have to get a lawyer when your parents have been murdered because there's money involved and things like that. You know, I don't know if you people have ever, not you that I'm talking to, but these people have ever actually dealt with a real murder or not. But for one, polygraphs aren't admissible. If they've been advised not to take a polygraph, it's for a reason. It's probably because their parents were killed and they're not going to give an accurate polygraph, and it might not read well, and it might make it worse because obviously other people are saying that they've done something wrong when they haven't, or when they might not have, when nobody knows anything about what's happened. I see a very vigilant reporter who's always stayed firm on her story and has never given up to seek the truth. I also see a sheriff who failed to show up at the most recent sheriff's debate where concerned citizens were waiting to question him. Instead, they were able to question Mike Gananusio, who obviously didn't have any answers because he doesn't know anything about the case. They go on to say that Doug Schuster was caught lying to the public from the start about the case. So that one-sided family who have lawyered up and refused to take a poly can post fallacies about the others all they want. Which fallacies are they? But the bottom line is they refuse to cooperate. No, they haven't at all. They have not refused to cooperate. Hats off to Terry knows something for all the valuable information, and I hope someday these people will rest. I do too. But then have a look at this. Quit crying and take that test. It's not admissible, so why worry? By the way, vote Mike Ganusio for a better Mojave County because he won't lie to you. Vote Mike Ganusio. So is that the same person that says that he sought out clips just in case people haven't kept up with the story, popped it into his own political debate, and then tells me that it's up to each individual to seek out the information on this case for themselves? What a great guy. If this is not Mike Gananussi for sheriff, he needs to take down this page really quickly. But I know that Mike Ganusio is actually using the case as a political stepping stone. There's no doubt about it. He is. You can Google it. You can check any sources. I'll put every link I can down there. You can check it all. The guy is actually trying to justify the fact that he could be sheriff and find out what's happened, even though he knows nothing about what happened, and even though he talks to people like this. And I said it was a political stunt, and then he backs it up by saying it was a political debate. This was the longest article I could find about the case. It's been 2 years, 5 months, and 1 day since Susan and Jerry Mcfalls Sr. went missing. It has been 1 year, 7 months, and 25 days since the bodies of Susan and Jerry Sr. were discovered. Susan's remains were identified immediately. Jerry Mcfalls Sr.'s remains took nearly 2 years to bring a positive identification from the University of Northern Texas, where the DNA was being analysed, and the Mojave County Sheriff's Office. It took 2 years, 4 months, and 29 days for Mojave County detectives to bring in suspects for polytesting. Only 2 suspects showed up. I've never actually seen a list of suspects, so I don't know. Community and family members have a question for Mojave County Sheriff's Office about polygraph testing. What took you so long? Fair enough. Family members Bob and Teresa Hutchinson are on the list of suspects in Susan and Jerry Sr.'s murder and are the only ones so far to take a polygraph. Okay. Efforts have been made to made to have Susan and Jerry's son, Jerry Mcfalls Jr., and his wife, Meredy, also take part, but the couple has not responded to the detectives' calls. They are directing all correspondence through their attorney, according to family members. Well, I think that's actually a very smart thing to do. Like I said before, or like I'll say after, depending on where I put this video, you need an attorney when your family's been murdered. So that's not unusual that they have an attorney. But anyway, let's carry on. Suspects in the Mcfalls murder include Jerry Mcfalls Jr. and wife Meredy Mcfall, neighbour David Myhaver, and other unnamed family members. So we've got a few suspects on this apparent list. Of course, the sheriff's county has not released any information, so where this information's come from, I don't know. After initially investigating, serving a search warrant on his property and digging up his septic tank, no arrest has been made of Myhaver. No active investigation has been done on Myhaver in the past 2 years. The Hutchinsons took their polygraph tests on Tuesday, June the 9th, and according to the couple, passed. Well, that's according to them, so we don't know. Whoever this couple is, the family. According to a statement made by Mojave County Sheriff's Office, passed by Public Information Specialist Anita Mortensen, the polygraph is a tool in the investigation and could potentially lead the investigation in different directions. When we go where the investigation leads us. Nobody has been ruled out as a suspect. This statement was made before the polygraphs were taken. And that's an accurate statement to what I've seen so far. The Sheriff's Office has said nothing except nobody has been ruled out. That's it. Teresa Hutchinson feels it was a process in elimination of suspects, as it always is. Passing the poly should be leading the detectives towards other suspects and reduce their workload in this particular case. Both Hutchinsons were told they wouldn't be needed for further questioning. Great. So that's 2 people eliminated. Fantastic. In past interviews and reports with both the Mesquite Local News and the Citizen Journal, several family members, I'm not sure who this is again, said, "We believe Jerry Jr. and Meredy Mcfalls murdered Jerry Sr. and Susan." That is a very big statement to make. Which family members said this? Now the Hutchinsons feel they have done all they can to help the investigation. They have questions for Jerry Jr. and Meredy on the investigation that they can't get answers to, apparently. So we move on down a little bit here, and then we get to Arizona Strip residents, along with the Hutchinsons, feel as if detectives are not giving their aunt and uncle's case much thought or attention. I agree. Some say the detectives keep claiming they're too busy, blah, 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 and they've really done that. But here are some questions that are unanswered. Question number 3, for some reason. Where's question 1? It's not even in here. So question number 3 is, why did Meredy and Jerry Jr. wait 10 days before they reported their elderly, slightly unhealthy parents missing? My question is, they had other family members, so why was it up to Meredy and Jerry Jr. to do that? That's just a natural thing to wonder. Why is it just up to them? And that we keep looking down and it's just Meredy and Jerry Jr., Meredy and Jerry Jr. So we could ask this question of anybody. Why did anybody, not this, anybody wait 10 days before they reported Susan and Jerry missing? Question number 4. Why didn't Meredy and Jerry Jr. contact other family members about Susan and Jerry Sr.'s missing person status? The family discovered the couple were missing when they saw the report on the news station. Subsequently, Meredy and Jerry Jr. did not contact other family to see if any had heard from Susan or Jerry Sr. Why would they immediately initiate a search for bodies, assuming they were dead, before calling other family members to find out if they were alive and well. Yeah, that's not the case. I'm not sure where this question's come from, because which part of the family wasn't told? So this is not clear for us, just looking at it from an outside perspective, is it? Why? How do we know that they didn't contact other members of the family? Now, are we only talking about that they didn't contact the Hutchinsons here? Because there's a lot of other family members. So I think that warrants a lot of detailed investigation into that question alone from the person that's asking these questions. The person asking these questions needs to also prove that the statements that they're making are warranted and deserved of an answer. I wouldn't answer these questions if some writer posed them to me. If the police didn't ask me these questions, I wouldn't answer the questions. And also, there's no way that this journalist or writer or whoever it is, or the Justice Files or any other person involved in it, if they're not the police, there is just no way that these people know that the family wasn't told about it, unless they were just told by one or two people that are turning on Meredy and Jerry for some reason. And why are they turning on Meredy and Jerry? Because David Bouncell, the PI, the Las Vegas bounty hunter PI, has decided that they're guilty. And this journalist has sided with that person in taking sides and saying that they're guilty, even though there's no evidence. These questions are extremely lacking in any substance whatsoever. This is a double homicide, not a bloody joke. And it makes me annoyed. The finances. Why did Meredy and Jerry Jr. take immediate control of Jerry's grandmother's finances while Susan and Jerry were still missing and hopefully could have been found? I'm not even going to dig into the questions, because I can see very clearly that these questions have not come from the Mojave County Sheriff's Office. They have come from David Bouncell, or the PI, or the PI's office, or whatever, or this journalist, I'm not quite sure, but it has not come from the Sheriff's Office. So I don't take these questions as being serious. I wouldn't answer them if I was any member of the family. Now they're asking about finances. Jerry's grandmother's finances. Jerry's grandmother is not anything to do with the murder. That's not his grandmother, that's his parents. So what is this about? I just can't fathom it. They took control less than a week after the couple was reported missing and long before their bodies were found. Blah, blah, blah. Did they? Who said that? Where's all that information? Seems as though the sheriff's kept it to himself. Where's the proof of this, please? I'd like to know where the proof of all this is. Where's the interview with the Hutchinsons saying these things? I'd like to see that as well. The further I look, it's all about Meredy and Jerry Jr. They could have done this, they could have done that. How did two small dogs survive without food or water for 10 days and not die? Blah, blah, blah. How the hell is anybody supposed to know that? Dogs survive, dogs die. Why in the first week of searching did Meredy and Jerry Jr. argue with people about searching in the area where the bodies were found? Well, I've seen some videos and stuff about that crap as well, and you can find all that. It's from David Bouncell. I don't believe anything that guy says. There's no proof to back it up. There's no evidence. You can't start accusing two people of a double homicide of their parents with no evidence to back it up, but just what you think happened? And why did you turn on them? Because what? You're not getting paid? Because it was too long? 2 years later, and I'm wasting my time with this family. Why don't I just turn it around on them and fucking make them the ones that go to jail? No, it's rubbish. I don't know who did this murder, and for God's sake, I want them to be caught. But I want an investigation to be had. This looks like a railroading. There's more questions here, and I can't even get through them because I'm actually really quite annoyed that someone's come to me with this, and now I can see all of this stuff going on. It is really horrible to see. To me, what it looks like is this. The police have started an investigation. They've got some things going, a few suspects. That's it. They're not saying anything more. They're zipping it. The only people saying anything and accusing anybody of anything are a couple of journalists, a couple of Las Vegas bounty hunter PIs, a couple of family members that we have to believe that you told us about, except for one that's on a video, which it says he's a teenager. Does that mean he's a minor? Was he allowed to be interviewed? I've got a lot of questions about that too. Who asked them to be interviewed? Why did they come forward? Why isn't the sheriff saying anything? Why isn't the sheriff saying, stop doing this? So not only is the sheriff sitting back and not answering questions and not going to the debate and all the rest of it, and I don't care because I hate politics, but he's actually not looking into this because he's not helping two people that are getting railroaded by a journalist. And this guy, give me a fucking break. And you know what? I won't go away. So underneath the comments, you can bombard me with them. You know who you are. I don't care less. I'm going to spread this far and wide. It's disgusting. I think the people that write these articles probably have the right intentions initially. But in all honesty, what this has shown me and what I've shown you is that there's a connection between the writer, the new sheriff, David Bouncell. None of them know what the hell's going on, but two members of a family are petrified. I can't even imagine how they feel. Absolutely mortified that they've been accused by their own family, by some Las Vegas bounty hunter and a couple of writers, and they're sitting there petrified. You know, actually what you have probably done, the people that have contributed to doing this, MesquiteCitizenJournal.com and all the rest of yous, what you've actually done has crippled a family. So your ridiculous allegations in here and believing what some family members said has now crippled the Mcfalls. They are the only ones trying to find out what happened to Susan and Jerry, and they are being taken out. They don't even have the strength anymore to deal with this case. It's only been a couple of years and they don't even have any indication of what happened to their mum and dad. And now they're being railroaded into this shit by a couple of reporters and a dude that decides to write to me and tell me how shit I am. Well, you know what? I don't think I'm going to put any astrology articles up or videos up for the next fucking 10 years because I'm going to devote my life to this case. Just like I did with the West Memphis case. It might take me 10 years. I'll never go away because if the only two people that are interested in it is Terry Nenrez and David Bouncell and Traveller Dave, then obviously something is very, very wrong. Like really wrong. There's not a single article on Google that says anything that is not written by these people. And all of the facts and information and bullshit that I've seen has come from this dude here. Charged with producing and attempting to produce child pornography. He faces 5 to 10 years in prison. They convicted him on 4 counts. He's a convicted and with child pornography. And he is the person that is dictating to this writer what the facts are. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely not good enough. Everybody in Mojave County, Arizona, the whole bloody place, Mesquite everywhere, needs to know that their new sheriff just wants to become a sheriff. That's it. This is a political climbing ladder for him. He doesn't give a shit about the Mcfalls. He doesn't care less who's getting railroaded. And if anybody says anything to him, apparently he tells you that you're really shit at your job. And if that's not him, then why the hell is he allowing this to go on and stuff? Because, you know, if he's going to be a sheriff, he needs to be smart and a whole lot quicker than that. All of this stuff should have been taken down. And the initial the sheriff that's there now, Schuster, he needs to start lifting his finger as well and doing something and stopping this shit so 2 people don't go down for a murder that they didn't commit. Anyway, this is probably the end of this now. I'm going to get a really huge headache after this because I'm pissed. I'm really angry that they wrote to me and then told me that I am unhinged or whatever and threatened me with libel and shit like that. I know my laws, my rights. All of this is fact. It's all on the internet for everybody to see. I've got screenshots. I've got everything. None of it is hearsay. It's all facts. Everything you've said is hearsay. Come up with some facts. Just a quick note before I go. I do know many facts of the case from Facebook, Google, the internet. If you're a good researcher, you can find anything. You yourself can easily see these things. I do not support anybody except Susan and Jerry Sr. As always, I stand up for the victims, stand for the truth, and I cannot tolerate bad investigating. And as I explained at the start, that's a big circle of what happens when these cases occur, especially when they're thrusted into the social media. Things like that can lead to false imprisonment. We can't let that happen. In this case, yes, we know there was a will involved somehow. People have wills. That has never been established by the police as any sort of motive or anything. So why are we to even consider that? As you'll see if you've been reading, and you'll see in the links below, read them all, you'll see what I mean. It's all there. So apparently, yes, there were 4, then 7, then 11 people that said that they heard Meredy say, don't search over there or something. That again is speculation, because where are these 4, 7 or 11, and what is it, 4, 7 or 11? Where are these searches? And from an unreliable source, David Bouncel. Yes, we know they waited 10 days, but so did all of the other family members involved in the Mcfalls' life. It wasn't just 2 people, they had a lot more people involved in their life. And also, it's not unusual, I'm a bit guilty of it myself, not talking to my mum for that long. So, you know, you can't speculate about things like that. Yes, apparently the animals were alive at the house, but why was, again, that put on Meredy and Jerry Jr., and there was plenty of other close family to ask these questions to. And there must be suspects that they can start asking these types of questions to. Why is it just these 2 people? The facts of this case are not a secret if you look on the internet. Everything I've said you can find yourself. They're easy to find. I do make up my own mind, but for the love of God, don't accuse people when there is nothing at all to accuse them of. I've seen this happen to other people, and their lives get ruined. Then they find the killer and apologise to these people and expect that everything's okay and it's all forgotten, not realising that this has dragged a couple of people through the mud for I don't even know how long, on top of the fact that their parents, Jerry Jr.'s parents, were murdered, and the Mcfalls family lost Susan and Jerry Sr. So there's no losing sight of what really needs to happen. The investigation needs to be focused on Susan and Jerry, and it needs to be a full investigation. That is it. It's as easy as that. Okay guys, see ya.